All right, welcome to Side Action, episode 4 of season 8. My name is Jim Weglars, aka Wegs. You can follow me at Wegspool on X and on Instagram. As you can see, I'm solo live today. This is Saturday morning, the 13th of September, week 2 of the NFL. No Dalton this week, some major technical issues. Can't really get into it besides me getting upset. So let's just dig into what we can this week. Solo, if you're on the live stream, please join me, throw me some questions, whatever. I'm a social guy. So what can I say? So last weekend I was in Vegas, had a great time with some friends. We had 10 people out in the desert. Uh, Signed up for the contest at Circa with my sister on Thursday. And then we, had some pool action, went to Beer Park on Friday to watch the games. Saturday was insane at the Encore Beach Club. Had an amazing time. So much amazing time that like half the group didn't make it to dinner that night, but it was a good times were had. A lot of chain smokers were the DJs, and there were, what can I say, ladies everywhere. I was getting, my neck was broken several times as I was watching things. Sunday at Circa Stadium Swim, obviously top notch, incredible outing there. Had a good time in the sun, watched some great games, and then we finally got a good roll after getting my face kicked in numerous times on the weekend at the craps tables. It took 1 a.m. and an Australian lady who'd never shot craps before to shoot 41 times, and our primetime Murphy and I ended up clearing $2,000 each on that one. So it was great. Came back and had to adjust back to reality here in Chicago. So there you go. Dalton had some activities too, but he's not here to speak to that. Let's go to the shed. Shed was simple. Coop had the White Sox. They were the first team to not qualify for the playoffs this year, which is a bummer. Representing today, the Sox hat myself. Billy Napier, the Florida coach, which was, of course, one of my playoff picks. They came out of the gates and have played like garbage, including losing to South Florida, the Bulls, last weekend. And lastly, Saliva. He really likes Saliva, mainly because Jalen Carter spit on somebody as well as Brandon Belt. So keep that Saliva to yourself, boys. Otherwise, you're going right to the shed. For me, it's Cairo Santos of the Bears. Oh, my God. Not only did he miss that field goal that kind of would have kept the momentum for the Bears on Monday night, but he clearly couldn't kick the ball out of the end zone on the final drive situation, so they could keep their hopes alive. They got to cut that guy. He's old and he's got no leg. And for me, it's the Miami's Mike McDaniel's that going straight to the shed. McDaniel, he's terrible. He lost control of his team. We'll see what happens this week, but I'm surprised he even made it on the plane home from Indianapolis after that beatdown. In Club Dub, on the positive side, Coop likes South Florida, and I agree. They won, obviously, in the Swamp 18-16, but they've won two games over top 25 teams in back-to-back weeks, beating Boise State the first week. So great job, South Florida. Got a tough one this week. Emeka Egbuka from Tampa, 2 touchdown passes, receptions. First time it's been a game-winning reception by a rookie wide receiver in the NFL since a guy from the Jags in 2004, Ernest Wilford. So nice job, Emeka. And Josh Jacobs, the guy keeps scoring touchdowns, including Thursday night. He had 12. He's broken the record for the Packers, but the guy's got the 4th longest streak going into Thursday night with 10 straight games of scoring a touchdown, but he scored another one on Thursday. So that puts him, tied with Priest Holmes in 2002 and Jonathan Taylor in 2021. Next on the list is LaDainian Tomlinson with 12 straight. So if he can get to next week, he can tie LT. Incredible. So welcome, Club Dub. We've got a huge section here, even Saturday morning in the rain and the thunder. Looks like we do have somebody on the live stream. Feel free to say hello. I'm sure it's Luke Young, since I just was communicating with him. Anyway, I've got the Buffalo Bills in Club Dub, even though they hurt my bets on Sunday night. The Bills, incredible comeback, down 15 points with about 7.5 to go. 251 passing yards for Josh Allen in the fourth quarter, which is insane. And that hasn't happened in like 35 years, basically. And then also teams were 277-0 in that situation, scoring 40 points and rushing for over 235 yards in a game. Yes, the Ravens ran for 238 yards and had 40 points, but they still lost 41-40. For me, it's Justin Fields in Club Dub. He played really well. I mean, I've always been a fan of his. I mean, I think that he got a raw deal in Chicago, getting shipped to Pittsburgh and now the Jets. Played really well. They sculpted the offense around him. Hopefully he can continue what he did for the whole season. So Justin, pop some champagne, go to the Art Murphy Primetime Lounge and have yourself a day. Let's go into college football. From week 2, when we were out there in the desert, we had some, watched the game early between the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones. And what can be said? It's the same score as last year and same result. Iowa State wins 16-13. Iowa just couldn't muster enough offense. They played better in the second half, but they just couldn't get it done. For me, I love Baylor coming back and winning in double overtime. They were down 14, and I bought in on the money line. So that was really awesome. So anyway, people still watch football. I like the comment there for the burner account, but NFL is like flag football. That's true. You can't really hit people anymore. And then Missouri, they were down. They had given up 21 first quarter points to the Jayhawks of Kansas, but then they rolled 42-31, so they really got it done. And then Oklahoma took out Michigan. This was kind of an ugly game, but good for Oklahoma playing some scrappy games the first 2 weeks, winning 24-13 over Michigan. They certainly are primed for the SEC season now. In week 3, the look-ahead games, we've got Georgia at Tennessee today. Georgia's a 3.5-point favorite on the road, 15.5-point total. That game is at 2:30 Central today. Look, Tennessee was an early favorite, or at least a look-ahead favorite for a lot of people. They've been playing good. Will Georgia actually play better after they did? They were unimpressive last week. So we'll see if they turn it on, flip the switch. I would imagine they will, but 3.5 is a tough number on the road. South Florida is now ranked. They're going to Miami, who's obviously the number 5 team in their country. Miami is a 17.5-point favorite in this one, 56.5-point total. That game's at 3:30 p.m. Central. I don't know. I don't think they can knock off Miami, but they're certainly a tough team. And Miami's defense looked really good against Notre Dame. So perhaps South Florida just can't keep up with the Canes in this one. Next game is Texas A&M at Notre Dame. This is really the only tough game on Notre Dame's schedule left. They'll be playing in South Bend. This game's at 6:30 p.m. tonight. Look, they got to win this game. So I think they will win it. 7 points seems like a lot, but Notre Dame did have a weird bye after the first week. So they have, they're ready to go. I'd pick Notre Dame in that one. The last game is Florida at LSU. It's the Billy Napier Bowl. Can he keep his job? Because if he loses at LSU, he's probably packing. This game's also at 6:30 p.m. tonight. LSU, in a lot of people's minds, maybe the best team in the country. 7-point favorites, 46.5-point total. I'm not sure. LSU, we were thinking that they wouldn't be so good, but is Clemson that good? I mean, they went to Clemson and won easily. Didn't play, last week they won, but against an inferior opponent. Florida's in a win-or-go-home situation. They probably won't make the playoff anyway. So for Coop, he didn't have a great week last week, but he's got some picks for this week. He's got Clemson, the 3-point favorites at Georgia Tech. As you can hear the thunder outside. Looks like golf is looking bad. The boys are talking on the text chain here. So Clemson, he likes some 3-point favorites at Georgia Tech to get right, even though they played like garbage for 2 weeks. He does like Georgia minus the 3, but at Tennessee, and he likes under 50 in that one. So he's siding with Georgia on that one. He got a better number at 3 versus 3.5, the current market. It is really coming down out there. We've got Miami minus 9.5 in the first half versus South Florida. So that may be a better play than the full 17. He likes those first half spreads sometimes. He's going with a Oregon minus 27.5 at Northwestern, which is here in Chicago. It'll probably be an early game, so we'll see how the weather treats it. 27.5 is a big number, but Oregon's a really good football team. And then kind of an obscure game, he likes Richmond plus 21.5 at North Carolina, which, the Spiders, the spider alert. I'm not sure about that one, but North Carolina has not come out of the gates under the Fighting Bill Belichick squad, so we'll see how it goes. In the NFL, week 1, let's go over some numbers. Last week was a perfect split, 8-8 favorites versus dogs. Kind of a unique week because there were 4 non-covers for favorites that, they won the game but didn't cover the spread. So there weren't a lot of outright upsets. Technically, the Bills finished as an upset, and so did the Raiders. But most of them, the favorites covered or the favorites won just didn't cover in these situations. And then the unders dominated 12-4. So defenses were ahead of the offenses for the most part, which happens a lot in the early season, except for obviously the Bills, Ravens, and Jets. It's crazy out there. Bills, Ravens, and Jets and Steelers. So here's some highlights from week 1. Chargers, really happy they knocked off the Chiefs 27-21 in Brazil. It wasn't a home game, so you can't do any, attribute anything to that. Herbert played really well, 318 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Harbaugh is now 6-0 in week 1s in his career as a head coach, so that was my handicap. I won both the spread and the money line there. I was really hoping that the Chiefs could get within the number, though, because it was the live line. I had them at like 4.5, so I was trying to get really greedy in that game as we were watching at Beer Park in Vegas. Just mentioned the Steelers and Jets. This was 34-32. The Steelers did win in this one. They outscored the Jets, basically. Rodgers threw 4 touchdown passes in the win, but they didn't cover the 2.5-point spread. One of the things about this game, I heard a stat, was that Rodgers threw for like 220 yards or something, but like 170 of them came after the catch. So they were not a very deep, target, completion to target there. So it was kind of interesting. We'll see if he can keep up that kind of production. That was a revenge game for him. The Finns, we talked about Mike McDaniel already, 33-8 against the Colts. He should be fired, but the real story here was Daniel Jones played very well for the Colts. They scored on like 7 consecutive drives or something. So they played really well. Maybe Shane Steichen has something figuring out that Jones can be a quarterback in this league. How about the Bengals? If you picked them in Survivor, you had to sweat that one quite a bit. They had no business winning this football game. They had 141 total yards in this game. The Browns defense dominated, including just 7 yards in the second half, which is insanity. Somehow the Browns could not. They covered the number of +5, but in the second half, they missed a field goal, they missed an extra point, and had 2, Flacco had 2 interceptions, but neither of them were really his fault. It was kind of just the receivers would tip it up in the air for the defense to catch, which is a bummer. But hey, the Browns played decent, and the Bengals finally got a win on opening day. Broncos, they avoided a big scare in Survivor. Titans forced 4 turnovers in this game, but they only gained 133 yards. That Denver defense is legit. Rookie quarterback Cam Ward did cover the number of +8.5, which a lot of rookies can do in their first road starts. But in the end, couldn't get it done. Even had the ball to tie the game late, but couldn't get it done. So Broncos survive. We talked about the Bills and the Ravens. That was a rough one for everybody, and I lost that one. That was one of our picks. Lastly, the Bears. We talked about the kicker. They were up 17-6 in this game. They were dominating. They had a pick 6 of J.J. McCarthy. He looked like garbage for 3 quarters, and then momentum. It's all it takes. And what I saw in this game was that the KOB, or KOC, Kevin O'Connell, and Flores just put on a masterclass in the fourth quarter, outcoached Ben Johnson, and Dennis Allen quite a bit. Had everything figured out, wide open guys, and we're blitzing the hell out of Caleb Williams, who looked like garbage. Sorry about the voice. But anyway, the number actually moved to the Bears being a 1.5-point favorite. So J.J. McCarthy obviously covers the number and wins the game for his rookie start, which is pretty atypical. I was against him in that one. For week 2, obviously we had the Green Bay game on Thursday. This team's really good. If you haven't noticed, I thought that they were going to be good without Micah Parsons. Now that defense, top 3 probably in the league, maybe the top defense in the NFC now. They just look dominant, and they held Washington 230 yards. And look, Daniels made some plays, but they figured him out and playing zone and being able to rush 4. They didn't have to blitz much, and they still got pressure. For the offense, Love looks really solid. He's very efficient. He hit Kraft numerous times, 124 yards and a touchdown for Kraft. Love that. They did have a receiver go down. Jaden Reed, he broke his collarbone. So they still are scrambling a little bit at wide receiver. I do expect the rookie Golden to get more balls next week. But Green Bay wins 27-18, and it wasn't even that close. So this week in the NFL, obviously most of the games tomorrow and some Monday. We'll start off with the Bears at Detroit. Detroit is a 5.5-point favorite here, 47-point total. This is at noon Central. I'm all over Detroit. Look, I wanted the Bears to win really bad Monday. I think they should have won the game. This is a bad spot for them, even though they played well against the Lions traditionally in this new era. But Detroit got manhandled by the pack. That's not going to happen. I believe that, if they stick to man coverage, you're going to have Amon-Ra St. Brown dominate. So I would lay this number. I'm going to make this a context pick. If Action is listening, we'll see if we can talk in an hour or so to get our picks in. So I like Detroit minus the 5.5 here. Jags at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a 3.5-point favorite at home, 49-point total. Look, the Bengals looked terrible last week, but they're playing one of the best defenses, in the league, actually, with the Browns. I don't think the Jags can put that much pressure on Cincinnati, so it's going to be a lot more free-flowing game. Coop actually likes this game over the 49 or 48.5 he got. I don't think they're going to stick to that 3.5, though. I think the Cincinnati can keep running up the score, so I wouldn't take the 3.5 if I was the Jags, back in the Jags, but I do like the over in this game. Next game is Giants at Dallas. Dallas is a 5.5-point favorite, 44.5-point total. It's a tough one. I do like Dallas in the game. They're going to be a survivor consideration this week. The Giants look bad, and more importantly, the defense was okay. But as long as Russell Wilson's starting, I'm not backing the Giants. He looked terrible. He was awful in the red zone. The quicker they can go to Jackson Dart, the better. I do believe they're waiting for a lineman to come back before they put in Jackson Dart, so he's not running for his life. But Dallas's defense was pretty good in week 1, and I think that they're going to be solid enough to get things done, and that offense looked great. I also believe, if you like betting props, CeeDee Lamb props will go over this week. He had 2 bad drops that everybody saw. He had 4 drops in the game. I think he's going to have a monster game this week against the Giants. So I would put them in the contest if Action's going to agree with me here. We got Rams at Tennessee. The Rams are on the road, 5.5-point favorite, really low total, 41.5. Why is it low? Well, the Rams defense played really good against Houston, and Tennessee, acquitted themselves well against Denver. So I could understand the total. 5.5 is just too many points for me here. It's a good value to the dog. Not sure you want to back Tennessee again in this spot because the Rams are definitely a better football team. And Stafford looked efficient last week. Went to Nakua time and time again. But Simmons can wreck the game for Tennessee. I just don't like the number. The total, I probably would go under 41.5, but I'd stay away from that spot for Tennessee. And then you've got Miami is hosting the Patriots. They are a short 1-point favorite. And that actually, let me double check, because that actually moved up to 1.5 yesterday. But what I would say about this game is Look, it's going to be hot in Miami. Patriots don't play well down there. However, I just believe that McDaniels lost the locker room. So I'll gladly line up against the Finns again, knowing that, yeah, they're better. Oh, they're to a 2.5 point favorite. Jeez. So this number moved away from the line of the circle line is only one. So it's probably a bad value now for the Patriots. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to bet the Patriots money line at plus 108 now and take those points at 2.5 in the real world. Maybe it's not a contest pick because of the value, but I think Miami, maybe they'll have a good game this week. Maybe they're going to play well, but I think McDaniel's just on the way out. San Francisco at New Orleans. New Orleans is a 3-point dog at home. Big news in this one is Purdy's out 2 to 5 weeks for San Francisco. So they go to Mac Jones. We'll see if Shanahan can do it with Mac Jones as he can with any other quarterback. But I don't love it. Numbers not bad for San Francisco here. 40.5-point total. Saints played decent. They played hard. You can ask yourself, well, if Arizona was a 6.5-point favorite and San Francisco is a better football team and only 3-point favorite, the value is on San Francisco. I don't disagree. That's what Coop's thinking in his picks. But I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the situation. They're banged up. George Kittle's also on the IR here. So I don't know who he's throwing to. Buffalo at the Jets. Jets are 6.5-point dogs at home, 46.5-point total. I like the Jets. I know that Buffalo's going to play probably better than they did last week because they couldn't stop, the Ravens at all. But the Jets have a varied offense too. I mean, if Fields is going to run wild, and Garrett Wilson was active, that Breece Hall looked live last week. What's the difference? They got a good running game, good passing game, and the Jets defense is decent. They're not as good as Baltimore, but my God, 6.5 is just too many points for the road divisional spot. So I would definitely pick the Jets plus 6.5 in that one, and that is in my top 5. Yes. We've got Seattle at Pittsburgh. This is still an early game. There's too many early games this week. Seattle at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a 3-point favorite, 40-point total. Let me see if that's moved because, yeah, it's the same, the 40.5-point total. So, look, a lot of people like the Steelers in this game, and I understand why. Their offense looked good last week. The defense was not good, though. Seattle, Darnold looked like garbage. I mean, the guy's not a great football player. He's away from KOC now. Their running game was really bad against San Francisco. So it's going to be in Darnold's hands. I understand why you would back Pittsburgh here. I just think Seattle's defensive line is pretty good. Their defense is a little sneaky. So I don't love Tomlin when he's a favorite, as last week. He didn't cover. So it's Seattle or pass for me. Gladly would pass on this football game. 40 seems a little short, though. I think over on that game. Cleveland at Baltimore rounds out the early slate. And Baltimore's an 11.5-point favorite, 45-point total. So this is obviously huge value to the underdog. And I was going to back Cleveland here, but this is a Ravens, we lost game 1. Let me just mess them up spot. I do want to remind you, though, that last year when they had the Raiders come to town in a very similar situation, when they lost by a toe tap, they somehow lost this football game. So 11.5 is just way too many points for me. You want to back Baltimore, I totally get it. Lamar, Derrick Henry doesn't fumble. He's going to go for another 200 yards. But Cleveland's defense, they're pretty good. You saw what they did against Cincinnati, who has a great defense or great offense. I don't know. 11.5 is just too many points. I would back Cleveland in the kind of pick 'em situation, maybe not in your contest pick. 3 o'clock window, Central Time. You've got Denver at Indy. Let's see what it's at now. In the contest, it's down to a pick, which is a little bit strange because they're 1.5-point favorites in the market. So I'm not sure what Derek Stevens was thinking when they put that out there. 43.5-point total now, and now, instead of 43. So look, I like Denver in the spot. If I get a pick, it's a total value. So do we believe the Colts are gangbusters or they're just playing a terrible defense? I believe that. I think Denver's defense is legit. They're going to shut down Indy. I'm not sure what this move is for. Was there an anticipated injury? I think there maybe was some secondary injuries, but you still have Surtain. You got a great pass rush. So if I get a 1.5 point value on Denver in this contest, I will take it as long as action agrees. So second 305 game is Carolina at Arizona. Arizona's a 7-point favorite, although I'm seeing in the market it's probably going to drop to 6.5. Money's coming in at Carolina. It's -120. It's +7 for Carolina. 44-point total. Look, Ashton likes Arizona in the spot. So does Coop. I think that they avoided, certain death last week. Rather had him inside the 10, in that game, and they could have lost their survivor pick. I don't know, man. I think that Carolina's defense is terrible. I'm not going to argue with that. But does Arizona have that, step on the throat mentality to finish teams off and cover a big number like this? I'm not going to do it. I can't do it, man. Too many points. So you want to back Arizona, in a money line, fine. It's a pretty crummy money line at -305. But I would say +7 is fine, to me. All right, 325, game. This is Philly against Kansas City, standalone game, right? In theory, they're going to finish off. Somebody's watching this game. Super Bowl rematch. Philly is a 1-point favorite on the road, 46.5 point total. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to bet against Patrick Mahomes to go 0-2 and be a dog in Arrowhead. Philly does have the rest advantage by a day. They didn't look good. They will get Jalen Carter back, which should help them stop the run, which they couldn't stop the run against Dallas. And obviously, Kansas City's banged up at receiver. There's no question. Xavier Worthy, dislocated his shoulder. He's out. But I just don't, it doesn't matter. I think that KC is going to play a good football game here. They got embarrassed in the Super Bowl. I like KC +1. Not going to do it against Mahomes right here. Different scenario. Defense for Philly is not as good as it was during the Super Bowl. For the Sunday night game, you've got Atlanta at Minnesota. Look at J.J. McCarthy on Sunday Night Football. Has 2 back-to-back primetime games. This is very interesting. So it was 4.5 most of the week for Minnesota. Now it's down to 3.5. So people thought what I thought. That number was too big. It's 44.5 as the total. I still like Minnesota. I still like Atlanta plus the 3.5. Not as much as I did before. Coop likes Minnesota laying the wood here at 4.5. I do think the defense is really good for Minnesota. However, Atlanta has the type of attack to attack him. Good running back, hit him out of the backfield, quick throwing quarterback. Drake London will play in this game. He was a little banged up. You've got Pitts. So 3.5 may not be a contest play. I have it in my top 5, but kind of on the fringe. So got to talk it out with action in about an hour or so. But don't love that Minnesota's getting this much love early in the season when they play like garbage for 3 quarters, basically. So maybe now J.J. McCarthy's going to be the next Tom Brady. Sure, let's see it. Prove it to me. He's got the weapons, of course, but Atlanta's defense was fine. So I do think 44.5 seems low. I think it'll be a higher scoring game than that. Monday night, you've got 2 games, Tampa Bay at Houston. Houston's a 2.5 point favorite, 42.5 point total. Not a good spot here for Tampa. Not only do they have the injuries to Godwin and Tristan Wirfs and stuff like that, this Houston defense is legit. They lost 14-9 at the Rams. They had a chance to win the football game. I think if they get any more offense, they're going to coast in this one. 2.5 is a great number at home. The defense is going to play really good. And Baker didn't play good. His efficiency wasn't great. He had a lot of poor throws. He wasn't practicing enough or something. But so right now, that seems like a good bet to me on Houston. I don't like Tampa in that spot. 42.5. It's an under team now. Houston, in a game where you're playing with Houston, it's an under. 42.5 is an under. Last game, Chargers at Raiders. Chargers a 3.5 point favorite in Vegas. 46.5 point total. I know my partner I think he likes the Chargers here. I don't love it. The Raiders played good last week. I don't expect it to be the same. They couldn't run the football. They threw the ball at will against the Patriots. So maybe it's the same one with Geno Smith and, in the gang. Brock Bowers is kind of banged up, so we'll see what happens there. Stay away game for me. I don't like divisional road favorites like this, 3.5. So it's a stay away for me. So let's review. Coop had a good week last week at 4-1. He's going with Houston -2.5, Minnesota -4.5, or really 3.5 now. Arizona -7. He likes that over in Cincinnati Jags. And he likes San Francisco -3. He's a favorite machine this week, which usually doesn't bode well. I did not do well 2 and 3. Obviously, the Ravens game would have changed that. I like Dallas -5.5, Detroit -5.5. I like Denver at the pick because that's really good value. And then my dogs, I like the Jets +6.5. I'll still keep Atlanta, although I'm feeling wishy-washy, 3.5. And I do like Miami +1, which is now +2.5 in the market. So kind of a split dogs and favorites. In Circa, the contest, which I signed up for last week with my sister, the proxy, who's the best, trying to get her to do other proxies for other people. She actually signed up with Art Murphy too. Technically, I signed him up, but that's a long story. So the Survivor contest, is incredible. Last year was 14,200 entries. This year, 18,718 entries. If you're counting at home, that's $18.7 million on the line here. So that's why we do it. It's a lottery system, I guess. There were only a few knockouts. 3% knocked out last week, 3.06, versus last year was 39%. So this was a relative blip on the radar for a Survivor contest. So good for everybody for advancing, although there were some sweaty situations. We'll see if this week is a little different. In the Pick'em contest, it only 5,335 entries, but Derek Stevens is the man. He guarantees $6 million. So there's an overlay. He's going to come out of pocket for 600, whatever that is, 660,000, something like that. Last week was a really bad week for the contest. The consensus top 5 picks went 0-5. The top 10 picks went 1-9. And the only one of the top 9 was Arizona. And that was, they almost lost the game. The top 50, there's only 50 teams that are 5-0, which is really low for the contest traditionally. And there's 1,400 entries at 0-5. So that is insane. For us, side action, we went 3-2. We would have been 4-1 with the Ravens. But, we're in 483rd place, which is great to start. Top 9%. So I feel pretty good about where we're at to start as the, consensus average went 2 and 3 or worse. So for this weekend, obviously it's already Saturday. We're supposed to be, a little quick aside, taped on Thursday, 90-minute episode. Somehow Coop's memory or something failed, so it didn't upload. Great. We tried to tape last night. He doesn't have internet, so I don't know what to tell you. The guy's killing me. I'm here with a bad voice, and so there you go. I want to get it out there. Thanks for joining on the live stream, whoever's out there. Appreciate it. Was supposed to golf today, but let me see what the latest is on the golf update. Yeah, it's also done raining, so we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to golf today. We're supposed to golf at Olympia Fields. It was supposed to happen 3-4 weeks ago. That got canceled because of rain. If it gets canceled, no big deal. I'd love to go to Rivers, throw some more bones. And then obviously football tomorrow. I actually got a date tomorrow night, taking a girl to a birthday dinner. What am I doing? Don't know. Trying to, start off the cuffing season. For Coop, he's working this morning on a radio show, so good for him. And he's going to be going to Spain pretty soon for his work. So happy for him. Hopefully we can work out the schedule and get more consistent here. So live stream, last chance. You got a comment. I'm about to sign off. I'm signing off a quick one here. Just trying to get one in. Record 34 minutes. So that's amazing. So anyway, follow us at Sat Action Pod on X, Sat Action Podcast on Instagram. Don't forget our TikTok. I'll put something out there. I put stuff about Vegas last week. Maybe I'll put a short clip this week. I'm not sure. Follow me at Wegs on X and on Instagram. You can follow Coop at Mr. Grumpy Gills on X, and I can't remember his IG. I think it's like Dalton Cooper or something like that. So check us out next week. Hopefully we got some good picks for you this week, and we'll be back to our regular scheduled program next Thursday. So thanks for the follows and listens, and talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.